Adventure Queens! I am really excited to be able to join one of the skill sharing sessions. My name's Frankie, and you might have seen me if you follow the Adventure Queens Instagram. I've joined and done a couple of stories for them, and so I've done all sorts of stories from all different places. You might have seen me wild swimming in Edinburgh or climbing in Spain, or a few different stories in between, from living in my van and adventures in my van, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So this talk is really for anyone who might be thinking about van life, might think it looks cool but it looks cool for other people, or has maybe started taking the first few steps, or just wants a bit of an introduction. I have one small van that is not hugely kitted out, so if you're looking for advice on how to fit solar panels or cut out windows, or that's not me. But hopefully what I can share is some sort of stories and little trips that I've done, give you an idea about buying a van, things that you might need to think about. I can cover how to find out more information, really good groups that you can join, apps that you can download, a few tips from van life, and then I'm also going to go over adventures sort of big and small. As a bit of a background from me, I was not into the outdoors at all. I was like Queen party girl, and then maybe about 6 years ago now, I started hiking, doing very small hikes, and I guess doing a bit more urban exploring and just walking around like my local city and finding new neighbourhoods. And then that turned into more hiking, and then overnight trips, and I learnt to ski, and then I learnt to climb, and then now 6 years down the line I have my van and I regularly go on, well, not at the moment because of lockdown, but usually I regularly either go on skiing trips or climbing trips or hiking trips. I work freelance, which means that I can sort of fit these in a little bit more around my job, and I'm hugely lucky to do so. But that sort of means that I don't have a huge lot of experience, so definitely relied on a lot of advice from a lot of other people along the way, and also definitely made some mistakes that I hope I can point out as well. I say that I'm a part-time van dweller, so I mostly live in my van. I don't have a fixed address as such. I spend a fair amount of time living in houses though. One of the jobs that I work is in the mountains, and so when I live there it would be way too cold to live in the van that I've got. It's just not kitted out in that way, and so I always stay in a house there. And then obviously at the moment on lockdown, it wasn't safe for us or for the communities where we were staying to keep living in the van during lockdown, just with the circumstances that we were under. And we were really lucky that a friend had a holiday home in Hastings, so right now I'm staying out in Hastings and currently not van lifing, but hoping as lockdown lifts to start getting back in the van. I've owned the van now for 2 years. When I first bought it, it was a huge manic rush. I was working abroad and I took a week's leave from my job to come back to the UK, buy a van, put a bed in it, and then drive it back to where I was working.
Yeah, that's true. And I've got to go to the hospital.
Which was frantic, to say the least. We thought we'd be able to just drive around 5 different vans the first day and then pick one and buy it. By day 4, we still hadn't bought a van, but luckily on the 4th day I managed to get one. My advice from that for anyone looking to buy a van is to spend time, a lot of time, looking through different options and different vans within your price range, and spend some time going and visiting different people, different vans, to see what sort of things are out there and give yourself time for the right van to come up. We definitely rushed into it because of the circumstances that I was in, which meant that I ended up going like a little bit over budget, and then I've got a van that's maybe more mileage and not quite as good as I could have got if I had time to look for a deal. So definitely take the time, find a deal, get a van from someone that you trust. For pricing, when you're just starting out, like obviously all different vans, all different mileage, all different years cost different amounts. I got my van and kitted it out for less than £3,500, which sounds like a huge amount of money and is a huge amount of money, but then because I use it to live in when I'm not working away, it saved me huge amounts of money on rent, so it's kind of balanced out for me. But I think the point that I want to make there is, if you want to buy a huge big van that's loads of money and you've got loads of money, great, do it. If you don't want to buy a huge van that's loads and loads of money, just buy a small van that's not loads of money, that's just like a little loads of money, and then you still got a van. Since getting my van, I have done all different types of trips. So I first bought it so that I could do a solo van trip over 2 months that went from the west coast of France all along the Pyrenees to the east coast, and then up to Chamonix, and then back to England. That trip was just phenomenal, and if you've got any questions about it, please feel free to ask me. It was completely different to anything I could have imagined. I saw myself staying in lots of places where there were loads and loads of other people and getting to know all these different other groups of vans. What actually happened was somehow I ended up going to all sorts of places where there wasn't hardly anyone else there, and I ended up meeting all different locals, and just one person here and one person there, but the people that I did meet were so generous and so kind and so welcoming. I just saw the most phenomenal things. It was amazing. What I didn't see was that many other female solo van drivers. I know they're there, I've seen them on the internet, but didn't see loads of them in real life. And what I also got was a lot of sort of stigma and the usual sentences that you get. Oh, you're really brave travelling by yourself. Oh, where's your boyfriend? Oh, are you really alone? But overall the trip was just fantastic, and I didn't really plan it in advance. I didn't know where I was going, but I think that's really the beauty of being in a van, is you don't have to know where you're going. You can just go there and then find somewhere to park and see where that leads you. It's just like a giant game of adventure. But what I want to say is that not all van trips have to be huge trips. After completing the 2 months, I then went back to university. I had to finish my final year of my degree, and I was at uni and I was working 2 jobs at the same time, and it was just a hugely manic, busy time. But I still have my van, and I still managed to get away for weekend trips, which are amazing. And then also this year I've started doing 5 to 9 adventures. So they are adventures where you can leave work at 5 in the evening or 6 in the evening, whatever time you finish, pack everything into the van, go park up somewhere, you can camp out, you can toast marshmallows under the stars, and then wake up the next morning. I'd like to wake up and watch sunrise because that's one of my favourite things to do, but you wake up, pack everything back away, and then just drive to work as if nothing ever happened. And it just makes you feel like such a naughty schoolgirl, but also in the monotony of like every day going to work and doing stuff and getting stuff done, there's still so much adventure to be had if you can go out and get it. And that's something that I'd love to talk about as well. So if you want more information on how I did my 5 to 9 adventures, what sort of places I was going to, what tips I'd recommend, then yeah, please feel free to ask. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I think that's everything covered that I was going to say. So the sorts of things, if you've got questions about starting out, how to kit it out, what exactly I have in my van, if you've got questions about how to find different communities, where's a good place to ask for advice, where to go to get advice, or apps that I use a lot on the road. There are some really good apps that can really help you out. And where to camp, how to find somewhere to camp, where you can and can't camp, how to tell if it's a good spot. Like, really luckily I've not been in any sort of really dangerous situations. I tend to avoid big tourist places, so I think that helps for that reason. We did have quite a scary story when a gentleman came, and we were laying in the back of the van with the doors open, and someone came and started fly tipping and then shouting, and we didn't know what they were doing, but there was loads of crashing and banging and shouting, and I mean, it was fine, they just drove away, but we were there with the doors open what is going on? But there are definitely things you can do to tell whether somewhere is a safer place to stay or a not so safe place to stay. So I can definitely talk about that. And then, yeah, just the different things you might need for short trips or bigger trips. And what I definitely want to say is that you don't have to wait and save up £30,000 and fly to Canada and buy a van there to have an awesome time and spend time in a van and have van adventures. You can do them right here, right now, even if you don't have a van. Put a sleeping bag in your car. If you don't have a car, maybe you could hire a van for a week. There's just so many options, and all of them are great adventures. So yeah, I hope that helps to give you some idea of questions you might like to answer, and I'm really looking forward to answering them.